of her spirit. Because he was governed. The fathers were to exalt the mother's law. We're told that in the Old Testament, and the fathers turned. And they began to follow Balaam's way. All right? For the Lord, the God of Israel, saith that she hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that you do not deal treacherously, unfaithfully. See, we're told that they were covering violence over in their skirt. And you know how they were doing that? You ever read the Numbers 5 law of bitter waters? They were murdering women. Because they wanted the women over across the border that they weren't supposed to marry. They were warned not to marry outside their own women. That's what they were warned not to do. And they went ahead and did it anyway. Because the men loved what these women from the surrounding Adamic nation that Balaam told Balak, go get your women, send them in. And they were tickling their little ears. It was like honey on their tongue. And the women were saying, hey, you don't have to have those women's laws. You can rule yourselves. And they did. They began to rule themselves. And they began to write these cruel laws into existence, which were perpetuating violence against the women and were allowing them to take the upper hand and treat her as if she was less and not equal. God says, you saw no image of me, you make no image of me. And they made 2 images.
3 women killed here in the city of New Orleans in less than 24 hours. So just something that it's a trend that we have been seeing for going on for a couple of years now. 2 of the latest deaths are a startling trend for women that have been being killed in the city of New Orleans. The numbers just last year at some points were around or even higher than the number of women that were being killed before Katrina, when we had a higher population. That's a statistic that City Council Vice President Helena Moreno is not happy with.
Were higher than they've been since 1996. You also have to remember that in 1996, we had 70,000 more women living in New Orleans than we do now. It's just still so gut-wrenching and horrible to see what we're seeing in our streets. And the fact that now we're seeing women impacted at these levels, it's tragic.
We are following breaking.
Reporting live, Graham.
It took this biracial man 50 years, this half-black man, 50 years, to find his father's side of his family. His father, a soldier who was tricking off in Vietnam. Maybe he raped his mother. We don't know. All we know is he was the product of that relation. This is the legacy that the Passport Bros are leaving. Yes, I'm aware this was in Vietnam, but the Passport Bros are doing this same thing now. Taking their McDonald's money and their plasma money to a third world country. Tricking off and leaving half-black kids everywhere. You have half-black kids all over America, all over the world, as a result of these kings' lack of sexual control. And no wonder why it's so hard to determine who gets reparations. Because you have half-black people all over the world who are descendants of the very same slave trade. Because of the lack of control of kings. And one can only imagine the poverty this man grew up in. The hate he endured for being half-black. This is what the Passport Bros are doing yet again. Leaving a legacy of broken homes and broken people.
Now, as for this integration, we saw Quincy Joneses and all them use an excuse of this integration to then do the cunnilingus of white feminism and then bid white women. And so a lot of black men, as they point the finger at black women, they point the finger at anybody who helped them. So they point the finger at Martin Luther King calls it. Martin Luther King didn't tell anybody to sleep with, women that was unlike their kind. The Bible says in the beginning, I will make one like your own kind. Look, after its kind, after its kind, after its kind, after its kind. Martin Luther King had a woman after his kind. Malcolm X had a woman after his kind. No one told the black man not to go after his own kind. The Bible told him to go after his own kind in Genesis. So he want to blame Dr. King for causing integration because, the Bible told you to be in the world, but not of the world. But you wanted to be of, in it, mimic it, be everything with it, and then to the point where this patriot's got the black man and a white woman so extreme that they talk about equality being able to murder the black infant through their sexual lust. So that's the equality. Well, we're equal now, so we can murder the black infant and trample his blood rights and make a mixed infant of bondage and trample and still over and over, trample the seed, murder the seed, steal the birthright. Oh yeah, black man, we can do it all because we're equal now. This is our equal rights, so let's have the equality to murder you off by our sexual desires and lusts. Let's murder that woman seed off. Let's murder your Judah nation off. so that the baby's not born from the Judah woman, but comes from me. And I give you all the sex you want and keep my legs open like Broad Street. And so, this is the ideal of the whole Patrix and the sickness of the Stockholm Syndrome and piss insanity of black men. He is now congruent with his Ku Klux Klan God. And he can claim to be an Israelite, a Christian, or this and that. I see them as little bitches. They stand on the side, and all they do is point fingers at black women for any little thing they can find, worse than some gossiping old ladies. And the sad part of it is like Malcolm X told whites that they wasn't in a moral position to judge black people on anything. And the black man, at a 70% abandonment rate of children that's vulnerable, leaving his children on the front line. Leaving children at 70 and 80% on the front line. You can say he left a black woman, but leaving black children at 70 and 80% on the front line, then standing back, seeing himself as separate in his Klan and outfit, and some of them do have on garb, and pointing the finger in such bitch assness. Here was a man that left children on the front line, and he thinks he's in a moral position to point a finger at a black woman on anything. Because, see, you can't say that she left children at 70%. You can say it's both of their fault. But I'm going to say her holding down a nation at 70 and 80%, he's not even in a moral position to judge the raunchiest black whore walking the street. He's not even in a moral position to judge the raunchiest, nastiest black whore walking the street, okay? Because at 70 to 80% abandonment, he has no morality whatsoever. And he has no solvency to judge anything. Remember, this is a man who acted so pussyfied that for the last 40 years or 50 years, he told a black child to stand on the front line with his mother, okay? So, him pointing the finger at anything, I don't care what he pointing the finger at the woman's seed for. He is not in any moral position. See, he hasn't raised his sons. They haven't raised each other. Now, the Most High is a miracle worker. The Most High can heal him mentally. But until then, and some of them won't be healed because some of them going to hell for 10,000 years. Some of them will be examined for hell. And so until then, the ones that's capable of salvation and healing through the work of their ancestors, spiritual salvancy, we still watch them. And these are the men that the world knows, most of America knows, abandon their children at a 70 to 80% rate. And they stand at like little bitches pointing, like a little bitch hiding behind a rock pointing to a child and a woman on the front line, okay? This is the branding, the piss branding of the black Judah man.